Welcome to Deck Analysis and Testing. Today we have a look at ALTERGEIST. Well, before I begin, I just want to say that I'm not very good at playing ALTERGEIST, so please don't be too mean in the comments if I misplay in a video. ALTERGEIST is a Cyber's trap deck that aims to slowly but surely grind your opponent down in the course of like 10 turns. It has a slow but impressive ability to loop their own cards and bounce a card every turn, and maybe negate a spell trap or two. This deck has been around for quite some time lately, but what has changed is the amount of personal spoofing that's legal. Having access to this continuous trap ensures that you basically never run out of monsters to summon. So in the version that you're seeing in front of you, I'm trying something that's not very commonly used, the skill Trap Layer. Back in the good old days of 2020, when I first started making videos, the gods of duelings have given free-to-play players a truly wonderful thing, which are consistency skills that any deck can use. If we have a look at the skill quickly, Trap Layer, among other skills like Spell Specialist and My Monster cards, give you improved chances of opening a specific type of card if you have enough of them in your deck. And turns out, by playing 3 copies of the card you want and 1 copy of the cards that you don't want, there is actually a extremely high chance of opening with that card that you played 3 copies of, and it is very likely that you will open with that card in your opening hand. That's why we're playing free spoofing and free manifestation in this deck, and only 1 copy of any other trap. Well, Konami has since then nerfed the skill to stop us from special summoning or using monster effects on turn 1, but we're a trap deck, so we literally don't care. With that said, let's have a look at the deck. We have, of course, our 2 copies of a Multi-Faker. This card is the backbone of the strategy. If you activate a trap card, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can special summon a ALTERGEIST from your deck, but you cannot special summon any other monsters other than ALTERGEIST the turn you use this effect. We have 2 copies of our main target for Multi-Faker, which is Socrates. This card is our main quick effect to stop our opponent from setting up. It can, once per turn, as a quick effect, return 1 other ALTERGEIST card you control to the hand, and then target 1 card your opponent controls and return that to the hand as well. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can recycle back 1 ALTERGEIST trap in your graveyard. This is really strong to grab back your Reborn trap that, also grabs the monster back, so it forms a really strong consistency engine. And we have 1 copy of ALTERGEIST Meluseek. This is our level 1. It can attack directly, and if it inflicts battle damage, you can send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard. And also, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, if you link it away for a Linkaribo, for example, you can add a ALTERGEIST monster from your deck to your hand, which will be Multi-Faker like 99% of the time. We also have 1 copy of Conquery. This card can stop an attack by special summoning this card from your hand, and also if it's special summoned, you can negate 1 face-up card your opponent controls, as long as this card remains on the field. For the spells, we're playing free Demise of the Land, which searches a field spell. We have 2 targets for this. We have Summon Breaker, which is obviously a really strong field spell. It's limited to 1 for a reason. This card says during the main phase 1, if a turn player successfully conducts their 3rd summon, just end their turn immediately. And also, this card actually counts the summons before it is on the field. So, if you're putting special summons a monster and then you activate Demise of the Land, that special summon, along with, their normal summons that they did before you activate this card, also counts towards the ticket to count for the field spell. So let's say your opponent normal summons something, and then they special summon something, and then you activate Demise of the Land, and then you grab your Summon Breaker. If they summon another monster, that will actually be their 3rd summon, because, the 2 summons before the field spell is on the field still counts towards the amount of summons that they have, so it will trigger the field spell, and then it will end their turn. It's kind of like Summon Limit if you play TCG. It also counts the summons before you flip out Summon Limit. And our second target is Fire Prison! Yippee! More floodgates! This card is... well, it's not that good. It's pretty much just a worse version of Mystic Mind. It doesn't negate monster effects, but it stops most attacks. It's like Synchro Zone in a TCG in Runic Sun, but it does stop attacks, which is sometimes enough. Sometimes if your opponent won't be summoning too much, you can, instead of making Summon Breaker, you can make Fire Prison, and then you have a lot more time to actually set up your board if you don't already have access to your engine, for example. For the traps, we're playing 3 copies of Personal Spoofing, which is now unlimited. This card can once per turn shuffle an Altergeist card from your hand or face up from your field to the main deck, and then add a Altergeist monster from your deck to your hand. It is not a hard once per turn, so if you have 2 copies, you get to do this twice per turn, but once per turn is usually enough anyways. And this card can get you access to Multi-Faker, and there's a little neat interaction that you have to keep in mind, is that if you activate this card, and then immediately use the effect to search exactly Multi-Faker, that copy of Multi-Faker that you searched can immediately use its effect, because that's how it works. And next we have 3 copies of Altergeist Manifestation. This is our Reborn trap, and also it equips itself to that monster pretty much. But there is another neat interaction that you need to know, is that if you activate Manifestation and then chain something that would remove Manifestation from your field, let's say Personal Spoofing to shuffle it back to your deck, or, bounce it back with Silquatus, the effect to pop the special summon the monster when it leaves the field will no longer apply, because it only applies on resolution. So, let's say you activate Manifestation targeting a monster in your graveyard, and you chain Spoofing, spinning back this card back to your deck. The monster will still be special summoned, but it will no longer be equipped with the trap, and it will no longer be destroyed, if the trap leaves the field, because it already left the field before the monster hits the field. So it's a neat little way to just get a free guy on field without having it linked with the trap, basically. And for our remaining 3 traps, we're playing 1 copy of Canadia, available from Box Chips, 1 copy of Needle Sealing, available from Box Chips, and 1 copy of Power Sync Stone, another Floodgate. And you can very easily manually trigger the 2 activations on this card just by activating it and then triggering Multi-Faker, which is 1 effect, and then Multi-Faker on Summon effect, which is your 2nd effect. And this will give Power Sync Stone 2 counters, and then this is basically a skill drain. For the extra deck, we're playing a bunch of links, but the one that you'll pretty much only summon is going to be Hextia. Hextia needs 2 Altergeist monsters, gain attack equal to the original attack of each Altergeist monster it points to. So if it points to, let's say, a copy of Multi-Faker, it has quite a bit of attack actually. So this will be your main way to actually beat over your opponent's stuff. When a spell trap is activated, you can tribute an Altergeist monster it points to negate the activation and destroy that card. It is not once per turn, so as long as you have stuff to tribute, it can negate any amount of spell traps your opponent controls. So one way to actually get more monsters to its link arrow is to use the effect of Manifestation, which summons a monster from the graveyard. So you can tribute a monster, negate a spell trap, and then use the Manifestation to summon something back to the link point, and then you can negate a 2nd spell trap. Or you can use something like a Multi-Faker, which summons itself, and you can just summon itself to the link point for more negates. And also, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you just add any Altergeist card from your deck to your hand, which is really, really strong. And since it's so strong, we're playing 3 copies, because Hextia is Bestia. The other Link monster that will only be summoning, pretty much, is going to be Linkuriboh, if you draw a copy of a Milseek, because it is level 1, it has an effect to search a Altergeist monster when it's sent to a graveyard. So, we're playing 1 copy of Linkuriboh, so we can just link it off whenever we want to. And the remaining links are not very useful, mostly. We pretty much never summon them, but it's nice to have. We have 1 copy of Daybreaker, which is a free-to-play spellcaster link, which is pretty good in our deck. We have 1 Code Talker, 1 Power Code Talker, 1 Triple Burst Dragon, and 1 Altergeist Prime Banshee, which it's an Altergeist card, but we rarely summon it anyway. Let's quickly have a look at the expensive version. We're actually playing the Altergeist skill, which gives us 1,000 life points and also converts any one monster on our field into a bad Altergeist monster. So what this does is that if you link off, let's say, a level 1 Metalseek to a Linkaribo, you can immediately send the Linkaribo to the graveyard and give yourself a free Altergeist, because Linkaribo is, spoiler alert, not an Altergeist, and Hextia needs an Altergeist, so you can just turn it into an Altergeist. Or you can turn something like a Canadia into an Altergeist monster as well. And we're playing Lost Wind. Lost Wind is a pretty good trap. It's even better in this deck because, first of all, our monsters don't have a lot of attack, aside from Hextia if it points to something big. And also, Lost Wind resets itself, so it gives you multiple triggers of Multi-Faker in your hand. And we're playing one copy of a Marionetto, which we cannot play in the free-to-play version because it's from a different box, annoyingly. And this card allows you to set your manifestation from your deck as a way to search it, so in this version we don't need to play free copies. It also has another effect to revive back some of your Altergeist monsters from your graveyard, which you will usually use it on Multi-Faker and then trigger its effect on summon to summon something from your deck as a bonus. For the extra deck, pretty much the same thing. Again, Linkaribo and Hextia will be your main Link monsters that you will be summoning, but we also have something like Artemis to link of other non-level 1 monsters that we have, and just the usual nightmares, and also the Link 4, which is, again, from a different box, so we don't play it in the free-to-play version. Okay, let's have a look at the replays. We're in the KC Cup, because, the KC Cup is on right now. We were playing against Tachyon. I don't know why people are still playing this deck, that was not very good. Anyway, we're going first, and we drew Summon Limit. But we did not draw Engine, so we're gonna have to rely on the Personal Spoofing to shuffle back the Manifestation to grab ourselves some Engine. Which is, technically, we still have access to Engine, but we will have to wait for a while. So you'll be able to see the interaction that I talked about, using Personal Spoofing's effect immediately when it's flipped up, and this will trigger the Multi-Faker that is added to our hand. We can bounce back the Nebula Dragon. And then during our next turn, we can shuffle back and grab us as a level 1. And then attack directly in an attempt to send a card to the graveyard. He will Book of Moon, which is fine. It's a bit annoying because it's now face down, so we can't shuffle it back with Spoofing, but that's not too big of a deal. Opponent will summon once and then twice, because Nebula Dragon counts as one summon. It summons both monsters simultaneously. You will negate the Revive trap, which is really annoying, because now we don't really have a good way to put monsters on the field, aside from hoping that we draw a trap, but thankfully we do, so that is, we're safe now. Opponent will make another Xyz, but, they can't really beat over our Altergeist setup, so you will just be scooping, because he can't out-tell Summon Limit anyway. Okay, in our second game, we are going first. Again, who would have thought that a trap deck would be good going first? We're going to not have access to Personal Spoofing, but we do have Multi-Faker, so that's good. We're gonna normal summon a guy to our field just so that we have Altergeist monster on our field. So, when we summon our Multi-Faker, we can immediately bounce it back with Silquitous in case our opponent has something like a land, a chalice to negate it or something. We're gonna try to flip down our opponent's monster, but he will land, which is fine. We can just bounce it back with Silquitous. And then he's still be able to summon a Synchro monster by using the Basil Rose Shoot to summon from hand instead of summoning from the graveyard. Summon Yazi, hoping that we can't out a monster deck cannot be targeted, but it's fine, we can just beat over it with Hextia. We're gonna use Silquitous to start eating our opponent's back row. We're gonna force out our opponent's Basil Rose Shoot, and that forces out a monster from the graveyard. And now you'll be able to see how strong this deck is in the grind game. We're gonna make a Link 2, use a Metalseek to grab a Conquery, so when our opponent tries to attack us, we can just negate the attack, and then also, I guess, negate the Blue Rose. It doesn't do anything, but why not? We're gonna get Ice Dragon Imprisoned, which is really annoying, but that's why we play 3 copies of Hextia. We're gonna use Power Sink Stone in the standby phase so that our opponent can't use too many monster effects. Our opponent reveals that he doesn't actually have any shooters in hand, so we're chilling. He can't actually beat over our Conquery with the low attack Blue Rose, but he can with the Yazi. But that's fine, at least we're not dead this turn. And we draw Fire Prison! Good luck to our opponent. Now, I'm pretty sure they don't have any Link monsters in the extra deck, so they will have to draw out to the Fire Prison or make a Black Rose or something, which is going to be hard under the skill drain of Power Sync Stone. So we're just gonna chill for a bit longer, just grabbing ourselves more cards and setting more traps so that we have more monsters that we can summon. Opponent will actually use Yazi on our set card. I don't know why they don't use it on the Fire Prison or the Power Sync Stone, but whatever. We're gonna use the effect of Multi-Faker because we activated a trap, and we cannot use the effect to summon from deck because of our own Power Sync Stone, but that's fine because the Power Sync Stone is going to win us the game anyway. In our third and final game, we are playing against the Winged Dragon of Ra, and well, who would have thought that we were going to go first again? Yeah, spoiler alert, this deck is not very good going second. We're going to make a Link to Revo just to trigger the Milliseek to grab ourselves a Multi-Faker, set 2, and pass. So, knowing our matchup, because, our opponent has no extra deck, and, the sleeves give it away, we will immediately make a Silquatus in the draw phase, and then, well, having a good matchup knowledge is very important against decks like these, because, if you know anything about Winged Dragon of Ra, is that bouncing their True Sun God is turn-ending, because they really need the True Sun God to be on the field and resolve its search effect. So just by having the Silquatus in the draw phase and then bouncing the continuous spell immediately on activation actually stops our opponent from doing a lot of things. We're gonna make a Spell Trap negate just to negate the True Sun God because we bounced it back. Or we can use it to negate a Monster Reborn, so once we negate the Reborn, they pretty much have no way to bring back the Ra from the graveyard, and we will win the game. Opponent will activate the Pendulum to draw a card, and then unfortunately distribute our entire board for a Sphere mode, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. We have Lost Wind, and also we have 5,000 life points, so it's not like a Immortal Phoenix will OTK us. We're gonna use Personal Briefing just to grab some follow-up, because he's just gonna end turn. And as you can see, because we bounced back the True Sun God on turn 1, he really doesn't have a good way to follow up. So even though we don't have any interruptions during his turn to stop him from summoning the Ra, he still has a really big trouble of actually summoning the Ra because we stopped him very early on. We can actually use Lost Wind on our own monster to trigger our own Multi-Faker, which is pretty funny. Even though that's not lethal, our opponent still has no way to actually crack our board, so they will be scooping.